And as the wireless operator, you you had wireless silence all the time. When you were on a bombing raid, you know, you took changes of wind, changes of direction, sometimes of the place that you were to bomb, but you just gave that information to the navigator or the pilot, and the only time you could operate the wireless was if you came down in the sea and you wanted the air sea rescue people to come and rescue you. That was the only time when you were on operations, that's the only time you were allowed to you know, use the keyboard.
Okay.
So I mean, on an 8-hour flight, it's and boring thing, sitting there for 8.5 hours just listening to stuff coming in and not able to, you know, respond in any way at all. You wouldn't go to sleep when you're flying on operations.
No.
There was anti-aircraft fire, there were fighter about and all that sort of stuff. You had no chance to go to sleep. And besides, it was very noisy inside the Lancaster, and B, it was quite cold too, so you know, you'd no chance of going to sleep. I remember the first one because, you know, you were sort of inexperienced and nervous to some degree anyhow, you know, and there's anti-aircraft fire exploding all around the plane. When we took the food drop, that was in the daytime, but all your operations were at night, so there were other planes beside you, above you. You could, you know, when you were over the target and dropping your bombs, a plane up above you could drop a bomb that had hit you, you know, so yeah, there was all sorts of dangerous things that could happen to you when you were on a raid. Yeah. But I was very lucky actually to get in aircrew. When I turned 18 in November 1942 and I applied for aircrew, and I was called up in January 43 for a medical examination, and I was playing cricket and tennis at the time and reckoned I was pretty fit, you know, and the doctor's ticking off all the boxes on the form, and it came to eyesight. I'd never had any trouble. Japanese book, and the pages were sort of in brown and green, and then in the centre there was a number, and you had to be able to see this number. And the doctor was flicking these over, and he asking me what the number was, and I'd say, and he'd say, "You sure that is?" And I knew I was getting them wrong, you see. And finally, after about 4 or 5, he said to me, "Do you want to get in the Air Force, Clive?" I said, "Yes." "Aircrew," and I said, "Yes." He said, "Did your father teach at Townsville Boys School?" I said, "Yes." Big tick for eyesight. So, little things can change your lives, can't they?